For today's video, I wanted to talk a little bit about goal reaching. So there's kind of like the traditional school of thought of, pick a goal, write it down, hammer away at it, stay disciplined, just rely on willpower and hard work and grit and dedication, and find your why, the reason you want to do it, and just completely commit to it, and you'll eventually reach your goal. Which this is completely fine, and this does work for some people, but to understand why this type of goal setting doesn't work for everyone, you have to understand proper motivation, discipline, willpower, and habit formation. So with discipline and willpower, it's like you're exercising a muscle, right? They're limited resources. They're something that you have and you can exhaust and you can run out of these things. Willpower isn't something that you could just wake up and it's the same every single day, day in and day out. Over time, your willpower will get broken down, and you will fall subject to eventually burning out or reverting to how things were before. This is why with my clients, I don't like the willpower and discipline model for everyone. Now, if someone's extremely driven and they're very goal oriented and they know exactly what they want, and they just want the guidance, I'll make a plan around that. But typically, you don't want to rely on these things because they eventually run out. And the biggest problem in the health field and health and nutrition in general is people falling back to their old ways, or relapsing to their old ways. I don't want to make it sound like we're drug addicts, but it pretty much is similar to that. You relapse to how you used to be. You fall back into your old unhealthy habits. So alternatively, you can follow a strategy that does not require the same limited resource. You find a way to change that doesn't require you to actually consciously put in physical effort and think about it and work at it every day, day in and day out, until you reach your goal. And this is a more a long-term approach, and it's called developing automaticity. So the great thing about automaticity is that you're not exercising a muscle. This is just neural pathways that you develop in your brain over time that make actions automatic. Just how, like, a gymnast that practices a flip, a ton of times, after a while it becomes automatic, right? They don't have to think about it. Or when you get on to ride your bike, at first you have to consciously put in thought and effort into pedaling and staying coordinated and making sure you're balanced and all these things. But over time, it becomes automatic. And for the rest of your life, you can just get on a bike after you learn and just start riding. And that's not something you really forget, because you've created the new neural pathways in your mind that makes that possible. So when I learned about automaticity and how we can actually create these mental pathways to make us successful and to actually desire a good habit rather than just force ourselves to do it because we know we should, this has been a game changer for me and people that I've taught it to. So the gist is this: you find a new activity that you want to adopt, right? Say I want to eat more vegetables, increase my vegetable intake. So what you do is just pick a vegetable, any vegetable, and you insert it into your day somehow. Find an activity that you're already doing, right? Or maybe you like to cook a certain thing. Maybe you like to cook, let's say quesadillas. Maybe you love quesadillas, and on a certain day of the week you make quesadillas. So without making any other changes, right? The thing about this is you have to focus on one thing at a time and really focus on it. So with the quesadillas, you either find a new vegetable to incorporate in it or with it. Every time. So, this is called habit stacking. So you find something that you're already doing, and then you incorporate the new habit that you want to adopt in with the old habit. So now it's kind of piggybacking off of the habit you already have. And over time, what happens is this habit actually becomes subconscious. So instead of thinking, okay, I have to have a vegetable with this, it'll be ingrained in you, and you'll want to automatically put that vegetable in it because it's become a habit. Now you might think, oh, well, I already put vegetables in my case. Like, this is already something that I'm doing. Okay, so you already have implemented an example of automaticity into your lifestyle. This habit of you putting vegetables in your quesadilla has already become automatic. So now pick a new habit, pick something new that you can implement, and then go from there, and just focus on one thing at a time for an entire week, 2 weeks, even 3 weeks, as long as you need to, for you to become used to it, and make no other changes in your lifestyle other than that one thing. Another example is, with your coffee. Let's say you love using creamer and sugar and all this stuff in your coffee. So if you have your coffee, try to make it a habit that instead of using a ton of creamer and sugar, you use one of those low-calorie almond milk creamers, or a sugar-free creamer, or something with less calories in it, and try to make that a habit, right? Try to make that part of the routine of, okay, I'm gonna have my morning coffee, but instead of having this, I'm gonna have this, and then do that in the same context every day, whether you have your coffee after, while you're reading the morning paper, or while you're scrolling through Instagram, or while you're doing a certain thing. People tend to have certain quirks and habits that they develop. While I'm watching TV in the morning, while I'm watching the morning talk show, let's just say that, I would drink a coffee with almond milk creamer, sugar-free almond milk creamer. And I'll sweeten it with a little bit of honey or stevia or monk fruit instead of like sugar or brown sugar, right? So these are just some small examples of ways that you can create small, meaningful changes. And if you do it in the same context every day over time, you might think you don't like it. You might think it's not working. But trust me, if you do it long enough, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, if you just stick to it, your brain will literally rewire itself, and you will automatically do it without putting any conscious effort into it. And it becomes easy, right? Same thing with like let's just say you eat eggs in the morning and you want to incorporate fruit. Okay, so if I have eggs in the morning, I'm also going to have some fruit with it on the side. I'm going to make a habit of implementing this new food that I want to introduce with a food that I already eat every day. So have the eggs, have the side of fruit, and then do that in the same context. Watch your morning show, read your morning paper, do your morning crossword puzzle, have your morning coffee, do the exact same thing. Do not switch anything else up, because the important part of this is that you're not completely changing things up 100%, because that takes a lot more willpower and discipline, which that's something we're trying to avoid, right? This is a slow process. We want to rewire your actual neurons in your brain to make this an automatic habit that you can subconsciously do without putting any effort in. And when you do that, it makes it much, much easier to succeed. So try it out. Pick one habit, incorporate it with something that you're already doing, and just kind of stack these habits, and you can get creative with it. You can incorporate it into exercise routines. You can incorporate it into studying. Any positive, good habit that you want to form, you can apply habit stacking to. And you could just piggyback these habits onto one another until you've completely created a new set of habits, which then, if you wanted to, you could use those to piggyback onto even more. So you could kind of just play with this, and over time, over weeks and months and years, you can create an entirely new set of habits. I've found that the sweet spot is typically 4 to 6 weeks. It could take up to 12 weeks to fully develop a habit, but I think after 4 to 6 weeks of you doing it consistently, you pretty much are going to start doing it, and then you can move on to something new. Or if you want, you can have multiple habit stacks at one time. You can have like your morning coffee, you can have your eggs with fruit, you can have like your afternoon exercise, or your afternoon book reading. You can incorporate like a smoothie or like a healthy afternoon snack into it. So just pick something that you like, and just start stacking. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this gives you insight on a new way that you can approach developing new habits, and it kind of helps mitigate some of that stress and that difficulty of trying to consciously, physically put an effort to developing new habits. So yeah, that's been my tip of the day. I'll see you guys tomorrow.